The supergroup land plants and algal relatives is pretty straightforward with its name, right? It is what it is. It contains kingdom Plantae, which we see here, as well as its relatives. So streptophyte algae, which are algae that are multicellular, like plants, as well as unicellular and variant algae, the red algae and the green algae. So all of these algae and kingdom Plantae, and these are close relatives of the land plants. So that's why they're in the same group. So they shared this ancestor way back here. And one of the really important things about that, so let me add it here, is, we have a critical innovation here of primary endosymbiosis that leads to a chloroplast. So all of these contain a plastid. Most of them have the green chloroplast. And so the red here is referencing that all of these have that primary plastid. And it came from a shared ancestor. We see this additional critical innovation on the cladogram, so a shared character of multicellularity for most of the streptophyte algae and kingdom Plantae. So the plants get their own chapters associated with them. So we'll focus here on just the protists that are not included with the plants, and that is phylum Chlorophyta, also known as the green algae, and phylum Rhodophyta, known as the red algae. So Chlorophyta, again, means green algae. There's a lot of diverse body types and structural types in this category, and you can see that diversity represented here in this picture. You have single-celled organisms, colonial organisms, filamentous organisms. This is a filamentous and branched organism, so really starting to get these more complex traits. So not like compared to this one, it has these branch points. And the seaweeds, again, kind of starting to look more like like true multicellularity, right? They're in fresh water, the ocean, they can be on land, they're photosynthetic, and they have plastids and pigments that are present in land plants due to shared ancestry. So they give rise to modern land plants, their ancestors do. And then the Rhodophyta, also called the red algae, they're multicellular, they're mostly in the ocean, and they're all large macroalgae. So these are not microscopic. So unlike the green algae. They're called red algae because they look red. So instead of instead of chlorophyll, they have a different photosynthetic pigment in their chloroplasts. They tend to have complex life cycles, so those alternation of generations that we see in some protists. Examples you may have heard of, nori and Irish moss. Nori is the seaweed that's used in sushi. So if you've had sushi before, it's the seaweed that's used to wrap the sushi. Irish moss is used in a lot of products. You just might not realize it because it's used as a source of something called carrageenan. And if you take a look at a lot of food labels, you'll find carrageenan on that food label. It's a thickener, and it's used or extracted from Irish moss. It's also used in brewing, so to make beer, the Irish moss actually absorbs some of the things that are cloudy in the beer and help make it more clear colored. So it has a lot of uses in food production and beverage production. And so that's our intro to this supergroup. Remember that we're going to talk about this supergroup extensively when we talk about the land plants.